everybody, and welcome back to another How to Grow. This is my podcast where I talk about my mental health, and hopefully I can help someone else grow from their situations, how I'm trying to learn how to grow. I hope everyone's having a great night tonight. I hope you guys are partying responsibly. I sure enough am. I'm partying at home and talking to you guys. No drinking. I don't drink anymore like that. It's the end of a year and the end of a decade, and I wanted to kind of talk about it. So, if you're into very long podcasts, you will have a long one tonight with this one. I'm going to talk about my mental health through the decade, and we're going to talk about things that happened to me through this decade that kind of either set me back or help me push forward. And with that being said, I'm going to let you guys listen to music a little bit longer as I get myself prepared, because more than likely there's going to be parts I'm going to cry. I already know it. But anyways, I'm going to let you guys listen to music for a little bit longer. Hold on. Alright, let's get into it. At the beginning of this decade, I'm going to try to talk about this the best I can. I'm going to go through my emotions from 2010 all the way to now as we're speaking right now. So, if you're kind of wondering, what the fuck is she talking about? I'm saying at the beginning, it's at 2010. And I'll, if it's certain, significant dates or years, I will say them. But, at the beginning of 2010, I was emotionally confused between working at a place that, at the time, Walmart wasn't that bad when I was working there. It was okay. And then I just met a new friend at that time. And let's see, I was single at that time. I was not really dating anyone. I was more focused on my daughter and work and helping my mom out with my grandmother and things like that. By mid 2010, I don't know if you guys will believe me or not, but you ever have those weird feelings when you know something bad's coming? I get those a lot, and I get them either in dreams or I'll have actual visions, things like that. And I actually had a dream that I was going to lose my grandma. And I lost my shit because my grandma was the closest person to me at that time. I could go to my grandma about anything and she would just talk to me. She was like a second mom to me because she helped raise me when my mother and my father were working when I was little. Up until she got sick when I was 17, and I started helping her. And it would be things like during summer, instead of me going out and having fun with friends and stuff like that, I would sit up at the hospital with my grandma because I knew she didn't want to be alone. I would spend the night there. It's quite interesting being in a veteran hospital at night, especially if you're looking for food and stuff. But more than likely, they have a vending machine thing like at the ground floor. That's what they did at the VA hospital in my area. And I was quite a frequent visitor to that. Let's see. And I kind of like went crazy a little. And I decided at the time, because I was still living with my parents up until like mid that year. And after I had that vision, it was like, I told my grandma I couldn't sit there and watch her die. And she understood, because she even told me that she was going to leave soon. Which hurt a lot. And I ended up moving in with the friend who I just met recently and her boyfriend at the time. And it was craziness there too, up until 2011. In May of 2011, May 20th is when my grandma passed. And I lost my shit. I went to a dark place. Initially, I thought about saving up my money from Walmart, because I had 401k, and at that time I had like maybe $1,000, $2,000 in that 401k. I had, I wasn't saying I was balling towards my paychecks, because I was probably making 8 something, almost 9 at that time, because I didn't go over till 9. I didn't go over 9 and 10 till I went overnight. But that weekend alone was really hard for me, because my grandma passed. Then a couple of days later, literally my mother got sent to hospital, and we found out my mother was diabetic, because she went into a diabetic coma. My mother, they've tested her for years. It never came up until then. They think it might be stress related, because of my mom has a bad heart, but also she has high blood pressure. And how they caught it was her blood sugar and her blood pressures the numbers were meeting, and it was crazy. And then they checked her blood sugar, and it was too high. But yeah, and I was in a very dark place for 2011 till about like maybe 2015, 16. I'll definitely say around that time. And my friend, she was there for me through my ups and downs. And there were some days like I probably gave her shit, and she fought with me left and right to have me open up to her emotionally. And that was so hard for me. It's easier for me to do stupid shit than that. And then at that time, I had this whole like thing about I wanted to hurt people how I was hurt. Instead of me thinking like, this is a blessing in disguise. My grandma's not in pain no more. She's not sick no more. She's in a better place. I was kind of a selfish bitch about it. But I also loved my grandma, and I felt like I was alone. And at that time, I kind of started, hold on. Okay, I'm back. And at that time, I had suicidal thoughts quite a bit. Especially since, my father decided to tell a lot of people I grew up with that I wasn't around for my grandma towards the end, and I chose to go be a hoe in the streets instead of taking care of my daughter. Both of those things were wrong. I was there for my grandmother all the way up until the end. I even saw her, the last time I saw her as herself was Mother's Day of that year. I worked 2 to 11 at night, and right after work, I drove straight to my parents' house so I could see my grandma. And I sat up and spent time with her. And we were joking about me sneaking in candy for her the next day. Because my mom was being strict about her candy intake. And the next day I get a phone call saying my grandma can't talk. They don't know what happened. She just got really sick overnight, and she stopped talking. I went there throughout the week. I would help with, because my mom would get help from my grandma because she was a veteran from the VA, and she had 100% benefits. So she would get like nurses and aides, stuff like that, to help her with like bathing her and stuff like that. But on the weekends, she didn't have any help, and I would always go over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, regardless if I worked 2 to 11, 2 to midnight, 3 to whatever. It was there, and it was helping my mom change my grandma, get her dressed. I spent time with her, and even my days off that week, because I happened to have Thursdays and Fridays off at that time. It's crazy, I still remember that. But instead of me going and doing that stuff I normally do Thursdays and Fridays, I went there and I spent literally all day, all night there. I left Friday for maybe an hour, and it took everybody to convince me, you should go home and get some rest. I go home, get dressed. I was supposed to go out that night, and me getting ready. Hold on. And mid me getting ready, my phone gets blowed up. I pick up, and I knew what it was. And a part of me felt like she didn't want to go while I was there, because she didn't know if I could take it. But it was hard, because it was me. My sister was rushing there. We were both apparently doing 90 on different sides of town, so luckily Tampa PD didn't catch us. But it was me, my sister, we were both rushing there, and it was years to get the final image of my grandmother out of my head. It's been years where I can talk about like good times with her, or any times with her, without wanting to cry. Yeah. The things that was in my head, and the things I saw, and everything I dealt with, it pushed me. Especially that weekend, because I lost my grandma that Friday, then my mom went to the hospital. And then after that, I had to help. I pretty much got all the plans together for the funeral. I did the obituary. My sister did the thing for the program on my grandma. And pretty much we had it set up where all my mother had to do when she came out of the hospital was pay and sign everywhere. Pay and sign. Pay and sign. That was it. We got the house clean. We got everything set up for like after the funeral. But after that, I didn't know what I wanted to do next. I was going to run away. I was going to take my daughter and move to Vegas. That was literally my plan. I was going to take whatever I had in my 401k, plus a whole month in paychecks. I was going to take myself off the lease I was at, sell all my stuff, besides like simple stuff I needed to when I went to Vegas, and go to Vegas with my daughter. That was it. And at the time, she was 4. And then after, it took all my coworkers at Walmart, well, all my close ones to me, including my, at that time, roommate, to convince me leaving wasn't a good idea. or else I'd be running from my issues, and I never wanted to run from my issues. But then I ended up, in a way, running from my issues, because for a good long time, I couldn't be around my family without thinking about my grandmother. And apparently it had my father feeling a certain type of way, because he would tell people I was out there hoeing and all this other stuff. And before anyone says, well, how do you know your father's saying that? I had one of my childhood neighbors come up to me at the mall and tell me, excuse me, sorry, getting kind of gas and stuff, but he came up to me and told me word for word what my father said. And he told me, he tried to prey on my soul and all this other stuff, and it pissed me off. And as respectful as I could, and I walked away. But later on, I snapped on my father and went the fuck off. Me and his relationship is a whole nother podcast all to itself. One of these days we'll go there. I should name it probably so many daddy issues. It kind of took me not going on the pole. You know, I almost became a stripper that year, a few years ago. I got hired on the spot because of my butt and stuff. But my friend / my roommate at the time, she told me I shouldn't do it, and I'm like, I need extra money. Even though it's kind of a stupid reason why she told me not to do it. She's like, you're gonna get hooked on cocaine. I will admit to this now. I've popped pills. I've done alcohol. I smoke weed. I do it now as a medical. And yeah, I've done a lot of things. But cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, Molly, none of that shit, never done. I don't have any interest in it. Especially seeing like what it's done to people. Because at that time, I had a lot of friends who were into that type of shit. I wasn't. I probably at most had someone trying to talk me into doing ecstasy. And I didn't realize that was his way of saying he wanted to fuck. But yeah. And mind the language. When I talk about my mental issues, it's me being raw. So but yeah, that was her talking point for me. I can't be a stripper. You're gonna become friends with these girls and they're gonna get you hooked on cocaine, and I don't know what's gonna happen to you. Whatever. And around that time, that's when Walmart's policies changed, managers changed, the whole vibe of my store changed. My store had issues. I think any Walmart had issues. But it didn't get bad until a lot of these policy changes came in, and like they were hiring managers that pretty much they didn't need to be a manager when they first walked in that goddamn building. That is completely honest truth. There are some who, just because you're a manager at one company, does not mean you can walk in and be assistant manager at Walmart. No. And then I was having issues with that because in between that time, me and my roommate, we went our separate ways because she went with her boyfriend. I went to live back with my parents for a little bit. And at that time, I was taking 3 buses home. And I was working overnight. And literally 5 minutes would make a difference for me getting home at 9 in the morning or 11 in the morning. Florida bus system in Tampa sucks. Full and simple. I worked on the other side of town of where my parents stayed. It took 3 buses. If I got off at 6:55, I can literally catch one bus from another bus and get home quickly. If I got off right at 7, I had to wait till 7:15, then possibly 8 the other bus would come, and possibly 9 something for the longest bus to come. Because I'm literally that bus that comes from downtown all the way across to where my parents live at. And that'd be damn near an hour or so. So it was that, and I had a manager who actually wrote me up because of it. And it was okay for us to go home 5 minutes till, as long as our job was done. He was mad because I left 5 minutes till, because I had to catch the bus. I actually left we're allowed to leave 7 or 8 minutes at that time. So I left at 8 minutes so I can get out there at least. Or 5 minutes till so I can catch the bus. Which it makes no sense to me that literally, if I'm there at 6:55, I can catch it right then and there. Then catch the next one. And I'm home by 9. But I'm not there by 7. I have to wait till 7:15. It's fucking ridiculous. But anyways, then there was a whole lot of other stuff at Walmart, and the policies changed, and the politics became a lot more skewed. And when management switched over to the last manager I had at that first store I worked at, that was when the store really turned into shit. Because we had a co-manager who had us doing something. I was overnight inventory team. And he had us doing something that I guess in Walmart standard is quite illegal. But we would have damn near ghost shifts sometimes where half of the people who worked overnight would call the fuck out. Or they fired a whole bunch of people. Either way, we didn't have enough people to work the freight they wanted us to work out that came off the truck, let alone what they wanted us to take out of the back room. And we would, as they call it, ghost pick. Pretty much you'd be in the system picking, which is you're typing in numbers, pulling the stuff out, but instead of actually taking the stuff out, you're just typing in those numbers and keep going. And then at the end of the night, you just re-bin it. You just re-put it back in the system, and it's done. I had one of the new managers who apparently, because I'm not, if you'll ever meet me in real life, if I ever do meetups or anything like that, I'll try to be nice to you guys, but normally, because maybe it's because the Scorpio in me, I'm normally a bitch at first, and I don't like talking to people, and I will read someone's vibes, and depending on the vibes, we can talk. If you have good vibes, I'll talk to you. If you have shitty vibes and you're a shitty human being, I don't feel like talking to you. That's just how I am. And that manager in particular didn't like the fact I didn't want to talk to him, because he was this super wannabe nice guy, but it was something about him that rubbed me the wrong way every time I saw this guy. And he decided he was gonna coach me, which is terminology I get written up about ghost picking and picking slow. And then we find out later that he was taking our handhelds, and he was in our numbers while we were on breaks or lunches, because a lot of us, we trusted the fact that we could put our handhelds down and just walk away and no one would take our shit. He was taking our shit, and he was doing it, but he was doing it sloppy where no one knew what was getting ghost picked or not. No one knew what the fuck was going on until someone caught him one night. And around that time, I got those years were really bad for me and my sinuses too. Because I had between 2011 to about maybe 2015, 16, I had about maybe 6, 7 different sinus infections. I had ended up being on steroids twice. It didn't help because of the Walmart I worked at. It was a very dusty building. And once I went overnight, I noticed the sinus issues frequented a lot more. And by the last time I got sick, I just quit. I said, fuck it. I don't want to deal with this negative shit. it was like my first time really like, fuck no, I'm not dealing with this negative shit. I'm not doing this. And around that time frame between then, apparently my dating life became a lot better. Or I just got really better at Plenty of Fish and stuff like that. Which, you might find my old profile on Plenty of Fish, but I don't go on that shit. I don't even remember my password for it, nor do I want to. Sorry. I'm so sorry. But my Plenty of Fish experiences alone could be a podcast. But I met guys, whether it was but I always had this deep-seated fear about the guys I met, or the guys who wouldn't talk to me, because I'm not a small girl. I am very curvy. I have big boobs. I have a big ass. And I always, because of, I guess, watching a lot of Real Sex growing up and stuff like that on HBO, I always felt like guys only wanted me because it was a fetish. They just wanted me just because they wanted to fuck. Because I'm a big girl and I'm just a little dirty secret. And unfortunately, that's a lot of guys I attracted. We're not doing that in this new decade. I'm looking for a husband. Yeah, I'm leaving all that past shit behind me. And but yeah, it was a lot of guys who I didn't give them a chance, or I didn't open myself up all the way with them because of how we met, or how, like, whether it's a friendship, situationship, fuck buddy situation, anything like that started. I always had doubting issues, not less like we were friends at first. We were friends at first, and I could open up to you, but I didn't really have an issue so much. It was more like the guys who I would be fuck buddies with, or guys I met from chat lines, Plenty of Fish. I almost met a guy, that is a story I should tell one day. I almost met a guy on Craigslist, and I don't know what happened, but I ended up not meeting that guy, and then like 3-4 years ago, I found out that he killed his baby mama and his girlfriend. His baby and his girlfriend. Yeah, and I was like, holy shit. And the only way I even remembered it was him is because I still had his photo in my emails. So I looked, because I'm like, that guy looks familiar, and I looked in my emails, and I'm like, oh shit, that's him. Oh shit. But yeah, that was kind of a weird moment. I would normally be the girl who's on Craigslist talking to people, but I refuse to meet up with anyone. Yeah, Plenty of Fish got me in a lot of trouble. Especially the guy who was crying on my phone, because by like a certain time point in that time frame, I just started acting kind of like a dude. I just wanted to fuck. If you're not there to fuck, you're looking for something more? Nope. And I was really about, like, I didn't want anything more. I didn't want any, like, connections or anything like that, because I didn't think I deserved it. Because somewhere in between there, I convinced myself that I didn't need to love, because God took away one of the closest people to me. And I didn't find a way at that time to heal my heart. Even, like, there's some guys who are still kind of part of my life now, including my recent ex. I met around that time frame, and I didn't really trust their intentions. Including my recent ex. He says he really cared about me. He really wanted to be with me. All these things. But how we met and how we kind of got closer to each other wasn't the best way. My son's father. How we met and how we got close, not the best way. Because he was one of my ex before. A couple exes before my recent one, best friend. And he was my fuck buddy off and on for like 4 or 5 years. Yeah. for anyone that says anything, I do not have any dealings like that with him no more. I have no fuck buddies going into the new decade, nor do I want to. I'm deciding to, right now, focus on me and love me how I want someone to love me. I can't tell someone, this is what I want you to do, if I can't do it for me. So that is a huge growing thing for me, and stepping up and working on myself more and more. And around 2016 to 17, my ex before this one came into my life, and it was kind of whirlwind romance, but he came kind of at a vulnerable time because my off and on again roommate, she left. She left to go live back with her family because how hard things got. And it kind of fucked with me a little bit because I don't know if it's exactly abandonment issues. I just don't like being alone. And I feel like at the end of the day, no matter how good I am or how nice a person I am or how much I do, I'll always end up being alone. And it fucks me a lot. I fucking hate that shit. And try not to cry. Granted, like recently, I've kind of learned to be alone because 3 of my closest friends don't live in Florida anymore. A lot of people I meet recent years, there's some who are really there for me, who are friends, but there's some who is just opportunists, and if it's something I can do for them, then they're there. Beyond that, they don't give a shit. I've cut off quite a bit of people because of that. It's a lot of people I let in that I shouldn't have, because I was just looking for someone to be close to, especially after my on and off again roommate and one of my very close guy friends left. They literally left like maybe within months of each other. First the guy friend, then her. And it's really hard because I've probably seen them. I've seen the guy friend at least twice since he left. I'm trying to beg him to come back. But around that time, I met this guy, and he was the first younger guy I've ever been with, which was like a very difference for me because I was used to guys that was either around my age, or I would have those few moments where my daddy issues really showed and I was dating someone who was way too old. Before anyone asked, like the oldest I probably dated was 42. It was like 2 40-year-olds, but I was in my early 20s, so it's kind of like, yeah, after my first one, technically, I put in the no 40-year-olds until I'm in my 30s. And then the other one came around a few years after that, and he was handsome as shit, and he said all the right things, and that was more like a one-night stand, so I don't include him as a date per se, especially where we met. But when I met this guy, he was a really good guy, but unfortunately, I realized with certain points that he wouldn't have been the guy for me. And maybe he might think different, but I feel like he probably wouldn't have been the guy for me at the end of the day, and I would have probably had to break with him because of the fact I decided like recently, especially, it wasn't even so much because I like the movie Hangover. I just like the concept of going to Vegas for the weekend with someone you're really in love with, with a few friends that you're close with, have a bachelor party, a bachelorette party at the end of the weekend, come together, get married, and go home. And then have a celebration then. Instead of spending so much money on a huge wedding and having people you don't know if you want there or you do want there, or I love watching those bridal shows and stuff like that, but I also kind of feel like it's a huge waste of money when you find out a lot of these people, maybe a year or two later, divorce. Shit, I think even 10 years later is kind of a fucking waste of money. I'd rather go party, I'd rather go have a wedding that's intimate and with select people, and then like maybe a year or two later throw a big ass party showing yes we made it. But he ended up deciding that he gave me a stupid reason, and it's something I've always told any guy, because I've always felt like I'm the girl who is a guy's fetish, a guy's fantasy, over me being the girl that someone says, you know what, she's worth sticking out for. She's worth actually being there for. But it doesn't help with my emotional issues. I don't always want people to stick around too. So that's kind of an issue. But yeah, I found out his baby mama was not happy that I was treating him good and decided to wreck it. And that was literally it. She wanted him back because he was too happy. So I went like, after we broke up, I went like maybe a good chunk of a year not having sex, not doing anything, and crying a lot and listening to a lot of old sad love songs. Yeah, that was never good. Then my son's father came back into my life, but at the same time, he was coming back. My current ex was writing me and was talking about he wanted to give us a solid chance. I didn't trust him because also he would send me messages like, oh, you can come over, we could talk, but you can't wear pants. I already know where that's about to go. That's never how you're going to get me. And I would blow him off a lot instead of just telling him, look, this is not what I want. Like, I was honest with him for a while and told him, look, this isn't what I want. I don't want to have sex with no one. I don't want nothing from no one. Really, right now, I just want to be alone. And he would try. But I also never trusted his intentions 100% because of how we met and how, like, when I opened up to him and told him I wanted more, I found out he was dating someone else besides coming by to fuck me. And treated me like a second option. And I realized at that time I never wanted to be anyone's second option. If I'm not your first option, then leave me alone. And that is a good note to anyone. If you're not anyone's first option, leave them alone. Don't settle for being a side bitch, a side dude. Don't settle for it. So just no. In 2010, let's leave the side piece titles alone. Look for a wife. Look for a husband. Look for a boyfriend, girlfriend, someone to be with. That's not like pretty much using you like a human sex toy. Tell them to go on adamandeve.com if they want a sex toy. But yeah. Then around that time, my son's father came back into my life. And I happened to get pregnant. And I think with this pregnancy, I was confused. I didn't know what to do. Like, at first, I was excited. And then, like, reality hit. Because me and my son's father, we were never really together. I was always his second option, too. This man had a fiance. And I found out later a whole handful of side bitches. And he literally tells me he wanted to have an abortion when I told him I was pregnant. When he have an abortion. And I didn't want to. And like, it really kind of crushed me because I thought we were friends too. And that experience made me realize I can't be friends with someone if I'm fucking them always. It depends on their mindset before I get naked. And after. Like, if their mindset changes instantly. And especially since my son's father, he had the tendency to throw around words he shouldn't. Like, you knew we're fuck buddies, you're friends with benefits, whatever. Why are you saying I love you in this shit? No. So it will kind of be like a mental shit. Like, right now, me and him, I guess we're on decent terms. I didn't technically tell him how I feel about it. He just knows, like, we're not friends no more. There's no more friend. We're just co-parenting for our son's sake, and that's about it. And I guess I should talk about this recent ex, because he was I knew him technically like maybe 3-4 years before we started dating. And my guy friend who left town, he introduced me to him with his girlfriend. And him and that girlfriend at the time, they were going through issues. They broke up. I happened to break up with my ex at the time, and we fooled around. And then from there, whenever he really wanted me, he hit me up, and that'd be it. And I was okay with that for some time, which was a fucked up thing. I forgot my value. I forgot my worth. And I think that's one of the reasons why, to a point, I couldn't open up when we actually did start dating we dated from 2018 to this year. We made it about a year. But I couldn't trust him because of the fact that he had so many, like, we went through quite a bit. And then also, to top it off, the things he would do, people he would fool around with, I wasn't thrilled with. And then he even had a female, one of his like little bitches or whatever he was dating, hit me up and told me, "Oh, you can't talk to my man no more, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you." So I left him alone for like maybe a year and a half before he found me again. And that's when he started texting me. That was after my ex and I broke up. My ex before him broke up. And I wasn't really in the mood for guys at the time. I wasn't in the mood for no one. And our relationship was good, but it was a lot of issues because of the fact I couldn't trust him. And every time I tried to let him in, he would show a side of himself that made me question him. I did some questionable things too. I did something so fucked up, I just wanted to break up and just like, no, I can't do this. I can't be with you. Especially when I was going through my shit at the time. And apparently I had postpartum depression too, because after having my son, I was really kind of mentally fucked up. Especially since a lot of my fuck buddies had the audacity to tell me, "How dare you have a baby behind my back?" We had no commitment, and I still don't understand why fuck buddies think they can ever say the words, "How dare you have a baby behind my back," or ex-boyfriend. We were done. I'm not your little, I keep you on a shelf, and when I'm ready to play with you, you stay there and wait. No, fuck that shit. I'm never, never been like that, and don't ever be like that for no man or no woman. I don't give a damn how great it is. No. But with this year, I have went through a couple ups and downs, some losses here and there, and at the end of it all, I am walking into 2020 with a new aspect of my life and new hopes and dreams for the future. And I am working on myself more and more every day. And I know it's hard to say that and preach it and do it, but if you can't tell someone this is the things you need to work on, how can you sit there and tell someone this is what you need to work on, but you're not doing your damn self? So I'm doing it my damn self. I'm working on me 110% and trying to get my life back on the straight and narrow 100%. Plus keep going with my goals and things I'm going to accomplish in the new year. But I want to leave you guys with any notes and things to live by going into 2020. Always be first when you're talking to someone, you're dating someone. Always be first. If that person can't treat you first, correction. If they have kids, you're going to be second. But that's fine. You want someone who's worried about their kids more than you. You don't want someone who's you're dating them for however long and one day you find out this nigga has a whole fucking teenage kid and he ain't seen them. You don't want that. But be with someone who treats you like you're somewhat of a priority to them. If you're not number one, at least you're in that top 3 as a priority. Don't ever be someone's backup plan or someone's little personal toy that they pick up when they feel like it. And stop accepting to be a side bitch or a side dude. It's not worth it. And a lot of things, life hurts sometimes. Life can be a motherfucker. But at the end of that hurt, you're going to heal. You're going to learn and you're going to move on. And you're going to love again. You're going to put yourself out there again. You're going to do all the things that you said you're not going to do. You're going to do it again. Why? Because you're not going to learn if you don't. And don't stop chasing your dreams and goals until you make it there. And even when you make it, set higher ones. Set higher ones. Go ape shit. Don't let no one be a setback to you. And one of the biggest things I can tell you is, if you can't love yourself and treat yourself how you want someone else to treat you, how do you think someone else is supposed to treat you if you don't know how to do it to yourself? Love you, first of all. Love you. Take care of yourself. Shit. Take yourself out on a date. Do something. All the things you expect a guy or a girl to do, you need to do it to yourself. If you can't do that to yourself, how are you supposed to know this is what you want from a person? But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great new year. We still got a little bit of time of the new year left. Be responsible tonight. Don't drink and drive. If you're going to drink, Uber, Lyft. I think AAA is still doing that thing where they tow people's cars on holidays if you're drinking and driving. If you're drinking, you can get a tow truck. You can get a tow truck driver to give you a ride home, and it's free. Or be the ultimate safe person and drink at home. Just don't do something crazy. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the new year. And before I finish wrapping up, one of the things that I'm going to talk about this week, I can actually give you guys a little treat as a New Year's Eve gift. I will be starting a mental health check show on my Instagram. I will put the link in the description below. Please follow me there. And I'm not sure if it's going to be weekly or monthly, but I'm going to talk about like different things that kind of helped me get out of my dark places. And hopefully they'll help you too. And if no one tells you that they love you, I love you. And I wish you guys a great new year, great new decade. And hope you guys enjoy a long podcast. Bye, guys.